Hi everyone, this is Melanie Diffie, the Career Counselor here on campus. I work for Norman Career Services at Arkansas Tech University, and we're here to talk with you a little bit specifically about internships today. So, because this is the internship workshop, the first thing I need to let you know is that we do have a specific way of posting to social media. Arkansas Tech University, our Norman Career Services office uses the hashtag #IamReady, the number 4 success. So if you are applying for jobs, working on your resume, watching this workshop video, or maybe even just got offered a position or you're headed to an interview, feel free to use this hashtag to tag Norman Career Services and let us celebrate with you as you go through this career process, okay? So, as you can see, we've kind of lined up the internship seeking process as a little bit of a roadmap that we'll be going through together. And we like to talk about internships as kind of the foundation in building your career. So let's talk about how to build up to an internship. First, down at the bottom, looking at this pyramid, you'll notice that we talk about self-assessment. It's important to not just know who you are and what your interests and skills are, but what you're about, what is most important to you, what kinds of values you have, or what personality is going to contribute to this career goal, because all of those pieces are actually going to be part of the puzzle that helps you develop what kind of an internship you're seeking and ultimately, what kind of career you'll be looking into in the future. Next, we like to explore jobs, careers, and industries based on what you know about yourself from the self-assessment down at your foundation level. And then you'll notice we talk about focusing in on specific organizations or companies or industries that you're most interested in based on the specific positions and careers that interest you. And finally, we have to come up with an action plan, those specific items that you will need to take care of in order to seek a job. For instance, creating a resume, being ready for interviews, doing research on companies before you apply or before you speak to them in person. So let's start with that self-assessment part. Some of you may be familiar with the Myers-Briggs assessment. This is a very abbreviated version, but what I would encourage you to do is grab a scratch piece of paper, look at each of these 4 yellow boxes, and tally up how many of the adjectives under each category that you or your friends or family might say applies to you, okay? What we're going to do is we're going to tally up the E's or I's in the first box, and then I want you to write down whether you got more E's or I's. So you're going to pick a letter based on which you got more of for each of these 4 boxes, okay? Go ahead and pause the video for a moment and do that. All right, so now that you've completed the pause on the video, you should have 4 letters, either an E or I, an S or N, a T or F, and a J or P. And those 4 letters together are going to create kind of a composite personality profile for you. So take a look at the different personality profile options and find your combination of letters here in the box and write down that descriptor for you. It may be a way for you in the future to look at potential positions or opportunities and say, does this fit in with the personality type that I bring to the table as an employee? More specifically, let's look at definitions of some of those letters. The first box was I or E. Some of you may be familiar with the term extrovert or introvert. Just because you're an introvert doesn't necessarily mean you have to be by yourself all the time, or extroverts don't necessarily have to be around people all the time. But take a look at these definitions for a moment and think about what that means to you. Or maybe if you were a close tie between the 2 letters, this will help you differentiate a little bit more between the 2 concerning which way you tend to expend energy and gain energy. Namely, extroverts tend to gain their energy or build energy when they're surrounded by people, and introverts may need a little bit more time to recharge by themselves, okay? And you'll notice extroverts tend to, as a norm, like to talk out their problems, whereas introverts like to think it out or contemplate before they discuss it with others. The second letter that you picked was either an was either sensing or intuition. It's either an S or an N. We use the N for intuition. And you'll notice here, it's about how you process information. Specifically, the sensing folks may be more prone to look for the specifics when you're analyzing something, and you will probably analyze something through your five senses. You're going to take things in based on what you see, hear, touch, smell, and taste, and make a decision on your perception based on those senses and the specifics that you observe. Whereas someone that might fall a little stronger on the intuitive scale, the second option, may pay a little closer attention to the big picture, what's possible rather than what's right in front of them, and the possible kind of gut reactions that may affect things as well. What are some possible meanings or things that I can infer or assume based on the information that I'm given, rather than just making a judgment based on what I can physically observe, okay? The third letter you picked is going to maybe affect how you choose to make decisions. The two categories were either thinkers or feelers. And thinkers tend to care a lot more about how the decision might impact things from a logical standpoint. What is the truth in this situation? Can I find a cause and effect or a reason behind the way things are going to work, and how is that going to affect my decision? Whereas the feelers are going to, as I mentioned before in the intuition, again lean a little bit more on gut instinct, but also lean on how your particular decision might impact those around you. So if you care a lot about the particular individual that's going to be affected by this decision, that might outweigh the logical implications. Or if you care a lot about maintaining harmony or avoiding conflict in a particular situation, that might outweigh the logic in a particular situation. Okay? Finally, those of you who got all four of your letters together are either going to have a J or a P at the end for judging or perceiving. And this has to do with how you approach life in general. Those that fall on the judging side of the spectrum may need a little bit more order and structure. Namely, they like to set goals for themselves. It says the joy of closure on my slide. And the reason for that is typically folks that fall a little more on the judging side care a lot about seeing things through to completion, and they find some satisfaction in being able to move forward and feel the progress that comes with working on a task. Whereas those that are perceivers may care a lot more about the process than the conclusion. So rather than caring about finishing things, they may care a lot more about doing it right or going through the experience for the sake of the experience. And you'll notice the folks that fall more on the perceiving side also care more about being flexible. Spontaneity is a little more possible for them, and new information may affect their decision making in a way that folks that are more judging or goal oriented won't care as much about the new information because they still have the same end goal in mind. So the short end of this long explanation is that we do need to pay close attention to those personality traits and how they're going to affect your future career search, especially when we're talking in terms of internships, because an internship is defined as both a job and a learning experience. We call it experiential learning because it kind of combines both the things that you're learning in the classroom and those practical skills that you can only learn in a professional setting. You're going to, as an intern, get to kind of get the hands-on experience that you need to apply things from the classroom and be able to talk about them later and apply them in other settings as well. And it also gives you an opportunity to develop a relationship with a potential employer before they hire you full-time. They are able to get a little better sense of who you are as a person in order to determine whether you are someone that they might want as an employee. Again, this is why it's important to know a little bit about yourself first because your personality is going to affect your learning style, your professional presence, and a lot of other decisions that go into seeking an internship. Internships have a variety of ways that they manifest themselves. You can have an internship that just lasts for a summer or goes for an entire year, or can be assigned for a specific semester or season during the academic year. Internships can also be part-time or full-time. Usually if it's a summer internship, there's a higher likelihood that it is full-time because the employer may assume that you're not working during that time, so you can treat the internship as a full-time job. Internships also have the opportunity to either be paid or unpaid. We encourage students to look for paid positions whenever possible, but there are certain industries or areas where you're much more likely to find an unpaid internship. Namely, government work or working at a nonprofit. Those will be considered unpaid internships most of the time because those types of organizations may not be able to afford a paid employee, but they can still provide you with an experiential learning opportunity. Also, some internships are available for academic credit. I know there are some programs offered here on campus or online that require an internship or externship, and I believe emergency management is one of those, as well as hospitality and recreation and park administration. But there are other departments on campus that might allow you to do an internship for credit on your own time as long as you make arrangements with a faculty member. So if you're looking to gain credit for an internship through your degree, make sure that you talk with your faculty members and get permission first so that they can make all of the logistical arrangements for you to receive credit for that internship. Finally, internships can be in a variety of different fields and locations. Your internship does not have to be near Russellville, Arkansas to be a good internship. It also doesn't need to be near your current home if you're looking to relocate in the future or could leave home for a short amount of time, say a summer or a semester. Also, it's important to know what makes an internship a valuable internship. As we mentioned before, internships are about experiential learning. They're about getting to apply what you've learned in the classroom in a professional environment. So, a good, high-quality internship is going to allow you to do projects or work on skills that are relevant to the field, but also transferable to other positions if you weren't to get hired on with the particular company after graduation. It's not helpful if you're doing an internship where you're only learning about things that apply to that particular company or organization. They need to be slightly transferable. And what I mean by that is you may be doing things that are very specific to the industry, but you need to be able to find value in that experience if you were to go to another employer. You can talk about it and they're going to see it as valuable as well. Finally, and this is a big one, internships are defined by supervision. Unlike having a full-time or part-time job where you're given a task and left to do it on your own based on the training that you're given, an internship should always be supervised by someone that has the same educational or professional background in the field that would be needed to do a position full-time. And they should also be checking in with you to make sure that you're learning along the way and being given opportunities to learn while you're in the professional setting. This is not a position where you're assigned a task and then left alone in a corner for an entire semester. Internships require constant feedback. Then also they do, hopefully in a high quality situation, give you an opportunity to make significant contributions. Basically that means if you're in a great internship, you're going to be able to brag about at least one major project that you took on, or maybe some important meetings that you got to sit in on, or some staff development or presentation that you got to give. You should have some kind of takeaway that you can say you made a difference or you learned something new. Then also it's going to be an opportunity for learning and professional development, which means that you're going to learn more than you knew before you came. And A high quality internship should provide you with adequate resources and equipment and facilities. If you show up and they have no place for you to sit or no computer for you to work on, that is not an internship. That's a last minute, we need somebody, so we're going to come up with a way to make this work. And that's not going to give you the kind of experience that you really need. Okay, and here's the real kicker. Internships are incredibly valuable because 2/3 of paid interns as of 2011, or in the year 2011, received full-time job offers upon graduation. As I mentioned before, internships are often segues into full-time employment. And employers, when they hire an intern, are kind of giving you an extended interview. They're trying to spend those few months with you, learning about you, figuring out how you work, and whether they feel you would be a good part of their team. So it's important to make a good impression, but it's also important to seek internships because this inevitably could create an opportunity for you. Okay, and here are some other ways that internships can be beneficial to you. Obviously, you're gaining valuable work experience. Students that don't take the opportunity to volunteer or do industry-related work as an intern or part-time or full-time employee while they're in school do not have the same experience level when they get into the workforce after graduation. However, an internship is also an opportunity for you to figure out if the career you've chosen is the right fit for you. You may try out an internship in a particular industry and realize that you don't care as much for that particular field as you thought. And now you have not wasted as much time in a full-time position as you would in an internship, and you can kind of re-guide yourself in a new direction. It's also a great way to bridge yourself from school to the professional world. Not only can you tell employers about your experience, but you're walking into your first full-time position after college with an extra level of confidence because you've already been in that very specific professional environment, which gives you some confidence as well in your personal abilities. Obviously, you are going to get to know people while you're in your internship, and it's important to create those professional networking connections as well, because even if you choose not to stay with the company or they don't offer you a full-time position after your internship or after you graduate, some of your fellow employees, colleagues, or maybe even your supervisor could recommend you for another job in the future or might think of you at some point when there is an opening. So it's important to develop those relationships as well as your own personal marketing plan as to how you can tell future employers that this opportunity will benefit them in the future. Okay, and we need to talk a little bit about how to find internships. You can, of course, make sure that you are nailing down a specific area where you'd like to work, whether that's a career title, a specific industry, a company that you're interested in, but there are some things you need to line up along the way. You will need to perfect your resume. We will be doing a resume workshop shortly, and we'll post that on the site as well. You'll need to start a networking list. I mentioned developing your professional network while you're in an internship, but anyone you already know is a part of your network, and they may know about internship opportunities. So it's important to be talking with those around you and letting your friends and family know that you're looking for an internship so that they can keep you apprised of any openings they become aware of. Then you also need to research any available positions that you're specifically interested in. For instance, if you were looking for a position with a particular company, it would be good to get on that company's main website, preferably on the human resources page, and find out what kind of openings they typically have. Do they have a specific internship program? What does the job description for that internship say that they are looking for? And then also create reasonable goals for yourself. It is much easier to come up with a goal that is both specific and leaves you a little wiggle room than to get so narrowed in that you're disappointed or unable to function if it doesn't work out. For instance, a reasonable goal might be, I would like to find an internship in an energy industry company this summer. That could be the oil industry, nuclear energy, water energy, but if I were an engineering major, that's my focus. That's a lot more reasonable than choosing a very specific organization and saying, I only want to work for them, so that's the only place I'm going to apply for internships. Okay? And then finally, it's important to know that there is a job market out there that's hidden. Not every opening is posted in a public forum like monster.com or Indeed or some of those other places. You might need to go to some career fairs. At the end of the presentation, we will be specifically going over the career fairs that are happening here on campus. You may need to join some professional organizations that have to do with your industry. As I mentioned, talk with your network, talk with professors, parents, family members, friends, get on LinkedIn and create a profile on there to develop a network, and also go to other opportunities like corporate mixers or information sessions where you can speak with specific employers or companies. You do have the option of doing cold calls or writing introductory letters to specific employers as well, but those are not quite as effective as having that personal connection or knowing someone there already. And finally, volunteering is a great way to get in with a company, especially if it's a company that does not offer specific or regular internships. You can always volunteer with an organization, especially if they're a nonprofit or government agency as well. And as I mentioned, here are the career fairs that we have coming up. If you are in an agriculture major, we have an agriculture business and an agriculture education program is on campus, as well as the professional studies program that covers a lot of different interdisciplinary areas. If you're in the Russellville area on Wednesday, October 15th, you're welcome to join us for 2 hours in the morning in Doc Bryan. Be sure that you dress in professional attire and bring a copy of your resume or some business cards to hand out. If you go to the Career Services homepage at atu.edu/career, CAREER, you'll find a list of employers that are coming to the Agriculture Career Fair, so you'll know who you would run into. Also, we have the Fall Career Fair coming up at the end of October. That will be happening from 9 to 12 noon in the Young Ballroom, also on campus if you're available to come to campus. And the list of exhibitors or employers for that event are also on the same website. Also, I wanted to make you aware that we currently have a Dress the Part program that we're starting. This program specifically encourages students to make sure that you're dressed appropriately when you come to career fairs and other events by requiring that you attend events and participate in some of the career services programming. And at the end of 2 semesters, we fund up to $500 worth of professional attire to create one full business outfit if you feel that you need the additional assistance to fund something that would be appropriate to wear to an interview. So keep an eye out for announcements about the next time that you can apply for that program. And here are some very specific places that you can also look for internships. CareerLink. I'm going to talk through these so you don't need to pause. CareerLink is through your OneTech account. If you click on your student tab, there's a CareerLink logo about halfway down the page that will automatically log you in. And we post all opportunities on that website for organizations that specifically contact Arkansas Tech and say, we would like to hire your students. Can you advertise our openings? As I mentioned before, you can look on company or organization specific websites to see if they've posted anything about internship openings or an internship program. And then these other websites are general places where some organizations like to post internship opportunities. Idealist.org is specifically focused on working for nonprofits, and the others cover some more general territory for internships, but those are all good options for you as well. Feel free to pause this video if you still need time to write those down. Okay, so we've covered a lot of different topics in a short amount of time here. Feel free to contact us if you have specific questions, but go forth and find an internship. If you do have questions and would like to contact us specifically, you're welcome to do so. Here's the contact information for Norman Career Services. We're located in Dock Bryan, so if you are in the local area, you're welcome to stop by and set up an appointment, or you can call or email our office to set up an appointment as well, and the information is listed right there. As I mentioned at the beginning, we do have a career services page on Facebook, Twitter, and LinkedIn. Feel free to like and follow us, as we do post a lot of workshops as well as position openings on those sites, and we've listed our hashtag there as well. I hope you all were able to get some useful information out of this session, and feel free to contact us if you have any specific questions. Have a good day.